AI in car dealerships, it's staying. It's already here, guys. So whether you're using it or whether you're a salesperson, or you're somewhere in between, or if you're just curious about it, AI is coming, but not necessarily for the salesperson's job. This segment is brought to you by Delivery Day OS, the live operating platform for dealership delivery day. Ready by design. What's up, folks? My name is Kevin Covington. I am a current salesperson at a Hyundai store in North America. I'll leave it at that for now. You'll find out later about that. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been selling cars since 2014. Like, that's a long time ago, I guess. Like, 12 years ago. Like, I was 20. I was 20 years old when I sold my first car. It was a Nissan Murano, which was ironic because the Nissan dealership was right next door, and I was selling Mitsubishis. And so ever since then, I mean, that was interesting. That was my first car sale. Was a Nissan Murano. Uh, so let me tell you something. Like, that business is a crazy business, the car business. If you're watching this, you might be a salesperson, or maybe you're curious about being a salesperson, or maybe you're not curious about being a salesperson. But I'll tell you what, it's fun. Like, it's fun in the sense of, like, sure, you might make a lot of money, but it's also fun because of the people that you meet. Uh, I've met some crazy people and customers. Some customers, they turn into friends and people that I care about. I mean, I've watched people. Again, I've been doing this for 12 years. I've watched people, like, their kids grow up. Like, I've seen them. I've sold them multiple cars, and you see that happen, right? And then, or you hear about the stories. I mean, you also get, like, the sad ones sometimes when people pass away that you sold cars to, because you see a car that you sold, or a customer that you sold, but their spouse isn't there. But you see a car that you sold, they're bringing it in because you know the person died, right? So you see things like that. So it's a crazy business. And if you've been in the business, if you plan on being in the business for 12 years, and I call it the business because that's what we call it. If you plan on being in this business for as long as I have, you're gonna encounter things like that. Um, so that's what really surprised me is the people that you end up meeting in the business. It could be, I've sold to senators before, former senators. I mean, we ended up selling a car to a a, a band's kid, like a band's drummer's kid who went to college over here. It was pretty insane, that part, you know. But so I sold Mitsubishis. That's how I started. I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old when I sold my first Nissan Murano. I'm 33 now, and I'm selling Hyundai's now, and I've been doing that for almost 10 years. That's a great brand. I got some history with them, but it is what it is. But I'll tell you something. I think, and we'll go into this maybe later on, but I think people kind of misunderstand the business. So, and I think that's why we're now using, or some people are using AI. Or, but AI is also a general tool. I use it, all the time. So I think that if you're not using it, you're kind of falling behind. So naturally, if you're not using AI in the car, either buying or the selling part of the business, you might be falling behind. Um, but this podcast, the Kevin Covington Show. Again, my name is Kevin Covington. I've sold cars for 12 years. This show is about you, the salespeople. You guys are and gals are kind of misunderstood. Um, the internet is attacking automotive professionals. You got people, and I'm not going to name names, but you got people who charge the customer directly to be the middleman. And that's not an argument about the business model. I'm not going to get into that on this episode, but that's the state of our industry. Is people will literally pay money to avoid dealing with you, a salesperson. This isn't a training video. This is not going to be. We're not talking, sales strategies, automotive news, dealership buyouts. We're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about cars, because at the end of the day, being a salesperson is a career. People want it to be a job. If you think of it as a job, you're not going to be successful, straight up. You have to think of it as a career. And, uh, you know, like I said, 12 years I've been doing it. I've seen so many people come and go because they thought it was a job. They didn't want to, or maybe they couldn't put in that extra time to be successful. They couldn't, if you have a family, it's kind of tough, you know, to be a salesperson sometimes, because you're gonna miss things, or you're not gonna have a career. Unfortunately, a lot of dealerships are like that, and that's just the nature of the business. Because to make money, this is one of the only industries where your paycheck is, you don't know what it's going to be. I mean, you really, it's going to be different. It literally is different every single week or bi-weekly. There's bonuses, there's all these things, and people think that we get paid a lot of money to sell cars. You can, honestly, right? I mean, let's not front. You can make a lot of money selling cars. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the money in the car business. So if you ever wanted to know what the money was like in the car business, stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to tell you about the money in the car business. Leave a comment below if shoot me a message, whatever, DM. Let me know what you want me to talk about, and I'll talk about it on a podcast. And if you're a salesperson, if you're selling cars in America, anywhere in America, if you're a BDC agent, if you're a sales manager, if you're a dealer principal, if you're a finance manager, if you are a former car salesperson, hey, if you're even a customer, like if you had a bad experience with a car salesperson, let me know. We'll talk about it. This is for you. This is for y'all. But we're here to just. This isn't a sales training podcast. We're not gonna talk about skills. We're not gonna talk about all that stuff. We're not going to talk about skills. We're not going to talk about strategies. We're going to talk about the real life shit. And I said shit because, if you're watching this, if you're a salesperson, that's how we talk. But I'll tell you one thing, man. I used to job hop at dealerships because I thought it was a job. So I started at Mitsubishi. I stayed there for about a year. Left for a Toyota store. Stayed there for about a year. Left for a Honda store. Stayed there about a year. If you do that, you're starting over every single time. You literally, and you think you're gonna start over because naturally you start over because you just, you literally are starting over at a new dealership. You got new management, you got new processes. I had new CRMs every time I went. Like, it wasn't the same CRM. And for those of you who don't know what a CRM is, obviously customer relationship management software, that's what that is. You have to learn all that, type that in, whatever. No big deal. Like, it is what it is. Like, if you're kind of savvy, you can kind of figure it out, but you have to know that stuff. But starting over is terrible. So where I'm at now, in the beginning, I wasn't doing so good. The store, it wasn't like it is now. The store's popping right now. But back then, it was a struggle. But I was also young, and again, I kept hopping because I didn't stay at a particular store to earn those repeat and referral customers. People don't understand. When you stay at a store, you have to find the right store to want to stay at. Obviously, like if it's not, I'm not saying stay at a store if if it's a toxic work environment. Like, no, like you don't want to do that. But what I'm saying is, if you have a good to decent work environment, and understand that you're gonna sometimes have good days and bad days and ups and downs. That's just part of the business. The longer you stay in it, the longer you see those patterns of up and downs, and when it's gonna get busy, when it's gonna get slow, and you naturally just get better with your craft. Like, by staying at a particular store, I wish I stayed at any one of those stores, because I tell you what, I think there's a real possibility that any one of those stores, if I just stayed there, I probably would have been in the same position right now, still selling cars or even higher, you know, because you just get better with it, with your craft, being a car salesman, interacting with those customers. But consistency is also key. So consistency is staying with the brand, because I went to four different brands, guys. So if you are going to leave, I do obviously recommend staying with the same brand if you can, because knowing that product, it makes it easier, and it makes it easier for your previous customers, of course. Because if they want to stay with the same brand, though, it's easier for them. But if you go to a different brand, if they like their brand, and I've had that happen. Like I said, I had somebody, they bought a Honda from me, and they found out where I was. They called me, they hit me up, they bought a Hyundai because I was there. So it happens, but it's not everybody. So it's I can't imagine how many customers I lost back then at those other stores because I didn't stay, because they came back. I did a lease or whatever, or it just left a lasting impression. So, but like dealerships, that's one big thing about dealerships that somebody told me about, is just staying there. I learned that in an interview. So I learned that in an interview when I went to interview at Volkswagen. So when I wasn't so good at where I am now, like the first year or two, it was right around Dieselgate. Actually, it's funny because I interviewed at a Volkswagen store, and like a week or so later, Dieselgate happened, and Volkswagen's still a thing, but they not. I mean, it was damaging for the reputation. I didn't get hired. I didn't. It's not like they offered me the job. They just never called me back. So dealerships, even they don't call back, you know, people who are looking at them for interviews. They don't call back prospects. Like it is what it is. But so yeah, I learned that, but I learned that from the interview from the manager. He said, and maybe that's why they didn't hire me, because he said, well, because this was going to be my fifth store. Let's see, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai. It would have been my fifth store in 5 years. At that point, 5, 6 years, and they said, like, that doesn't look so good. Think about it now. Think about it now. If I was a manager, I probably would ask the same questions, like, why are you hopping from dealership to dealership to dealership? Because that's usually not a good sign. So, long story short, is what I'm saying is they didn't hire me probably because of that. And it was a blessing in disguise, because a week later, Dieselgate happened, and here we are. I'm at the same spot I was, and having a great time. We're selling a lot of cars where I'm at. I got those repeat and referral customers that he talked about. So that always kind of stuck with me, and that's kind of what I want to tell you guys. And people who just, if you're thinking about the car business, or if you're in the car business, if you're thinking about getting out the car business, because people want to get out the car business, right? Why do people want to come out the car business? It's tough, because I know every winter. I know every winter. When that cold hits, man, when it's snow, when you gotta do snow removal, everybody think about it. Especially because it's slow. Like if it's snowing, it's slow. It's not fun. Like, no, it's not fun for anybody. It's not fun for the customers, because they want to reschedule. Like, we got to clean off all the cars. Some dealerships are lucky, they got people that do it, but other dealerships, I think most dealerships have their staff clean off the cars. It's no big deal. It's good exercise, but just think about that. As a when you got to clean off your own car, think about dealerships. They got to clean off 100, 200, 300, 500, however many cars they got. A lot of dealerships are building garages now that I've seen. So I know there's like a new Toyota store in Boston that has like a big garage that I saw. I thought that was great. In some places it doesn't snow, Florida, California, whatever. But that's a reason. That's a big reason why people want to leave the business, is that. But also the burnout, right? So you got to take care of yourself when you're in the business. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. My phone goes off constantly, guys. Like I said, if you've been in this business a long time, the car business a long time, your phone's just gonna go off. You're gonna get those emails, you're gonna get those texts, you're gonna get those whatever, that whatever, and it is what it is. If you want to be successful, you're gonna sell a lot of cars. You're gonna have a lot of people, and it's the, you know, literally it compounds itself. Like people talk about interest, that's one thing. Like it literally compounds itself. You know, uh, so I don't know. That's You have to stay with it. You have to stay with it. But also, I tell you what, it gets tough as a salesperson because the public thinks there's a lot of misconceptions about car salesmen in the public. I'm not going to talk about them all, but one thing I will touch on this episode is the idea that car salespeople want to keep you there for a long time. Now, this podcast is episode one, so I don't expect a lot of people to really listen to this or to have a reaction to this. So I'm going to say it anyway, because I think it needs to get out there, and who knows. But that logic is some of the dumbest logic I've ever heard. Car salesmen want to keep you there so they can sell you a car and make more money. It just doesn't make sense because the quicker I get you in and out, the quicker I can turn around and greet the next customer out the door. Like just think about that for a second. Like it ain't rocket science. It's simple math. If I can get you in and out of there in 30 minutes, like everybody wants to, like everybody claims they want to do on the internet, that we should be able to do on the internet, which I'm not arguing against. I would love to get people in and out in 30 minutes. They think about that, and if I'm working 8 hours, I wouldn't even have to work 8 hours, honestly. Like honestly, selling one car a day is, you know, on average. So if you think about it, if you work 24, let's say you work 24 days a month, I'm just making it up. One car a day is 24 cars. That's a decent paycheck. So just think about that. Like 24 cars is a decent paycheck at any dealership. I don't care what dealership you're working at. It's either a decent month or a great month, depending on what dealership you're working at. If you sold 24 cars. So if I can sell one car in 30 minutes, hell, if I can sell one car in 2 hours a day, I take that all day long. Salespeople want to get you out as fast as possible. As fast as possible. It's not rocket science. Uh, so this just brings it back to AI. What we're talking about AI with car sales. People use these tools like ChatGPT or Claude or anything else, and I tell you what, man, like we got to get used to it because it's gonna keep happening. It's not that genie done left the bottle, guys. It is what it is. More people are gonna use it, and somebody's gonna monetize it somehow, some way, because that's what happens in America, capitalism. But that's okay. So dealerships, you know, need to. I don't want to say fight back. I think that's the wrong word to say fight back. I think dealerships need to know this and be aware for it and be aware of it, to know that it's there and that it's coming. Now, how does this change the relationship with the salesperson and the customer? Well, usually it happens via email, although we've seen it happen even with voice. Okay, it is what it is. But why is it happening? Well, unfortunately, car sales, we do have a reputation, whether we believe in it or not, whether we like it or not. The industry, the business has earned the reputation that it has, bar none, bar none. When I saw dealerships back when the Honda Civic Type R came out and they were trying to sell that thing for 5 and 10 grand over, and people were paying, because if people didn't pay, if somebody didn't pay, they wouldn't have done it. But somebody paid, and that set a precedent. You know, it works. It's a pendulum. It works both ways. It works both ways. Like if a car has a 5 grand rebate on it from the factory, then you should be able to get some other money off from the dealer. Facts. It's just, it is what it is, because even the factory knows you need an incentive. If there's no incentive from the factory on the car, and a dealership is charging $5,000 or $10,000 over on the MSRP, and somebody's buying it because that car left the lot, whether it was on a swap or somebody actually bought it, the car's gone. Dealer got paid, right? So, but we as dealers, because we wanted to make all the money back in 2020, 2021, 2022, we made all the money. It's coming back. People remember. They don't got short memories when it comes to this stuff. They know what happened. And, I think it's caused some damage to people, and their psyches and how they feel about dealerships, and they feel like they have to use this stuff now. People feel like they have to use these things. They have to use ChatGPT to negotiate a car. They have to use a broker to negotiate a car, because car dealerships did that to them. But I think it's also fair to say that consumers might not be happy if it was a different way either. So if you couldn't negotiate a car, I talked about a pendulum. Okay. So what allows a dealership to sell for over MSRP on a car? They can offer it. You don't have to buy it. Some dealerships, they will discount a car heavily on the other side of the pendulum, because you want to get a fair deal. So that's fair. Both sides are fair. And as salespeople, we understand this, and we know we want to make all the money, but we understand the market. If I got 50 of a car and 20 of them are white ones, that are base models, I mean, you'd be stupid to, as a salesperson or as a dealership, if somebody comes in on that car, you got to get them in the car. You have to get them in that car. You have 20 of the car. Those cars are costing you interest every single day. Dealerships don't want to keep people there. They don't want to keep cars there. They don't want to keep anything there. They want to get people in and out. They want to get cars in and out, because again, volume, a lot of volume, it pays the bills if you get a bonus. Manufacturer, salesperson. So where do we go from here? Well, AI is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere. And I think we'll see more AI tools coming from people. I think we'll see a lot more use of chatbots and just, real-time information. And I think AI is just going to get smarter. And I think people are going to use it. I think they should. But I think dealers will definitely combat it in a way. But it's not going to be nefarious. Like, dealerships, ultimately, they want to sell cars. They want to make some money, a little bit of money too. But they want to sell cars. Because I guarantee you, if dealerships could sell every car at MSRP, if they could knowingly sell every car at MSRP, they would. Whether it's a car that's above or below, or above MSRP usually, or if a car gets discounted usually, again, they would take it all day long if a car was sold for MSRP. A lot of times that just doesn't happen, but it is what it is. But again, guys, this is the Kevin Covington show. Again, I'm your host, Kevin Covington, automotive professional, entrepreneur, and now entertainer, I guess. This show will be from different viewpoints. So I'm open. I got some people I think lined up that I know in the industry, and I think will be really nice people to have on the show. The show, it was just an opening show. But we're going to feature real dealership stories, real conversations, different viewpoints. So I'm hope if you want to be on this show, if you're in the industry, if you want to talk about the industry, let me know. We'll get you on the show. We're going to talk about everything. Great people, bad decisions, how the business is changing, technology, politics when it comes to dealership politics, because there's a lot of that. We're gonna talk about the future of it. Um, this is about what dealership life is actually like. You know, we're gonna talk about the behind the scenes stuff. Might get me in trouble, but not gonna be anything crazy. But yeah, maybe it will be. You never know. But yeah, just if you like this content, it helps me out a lot. Leave a like or share it or comment, whatever you got to do. I appreciate it a lot. But definitely leave a comment if you had an experience in a dealership or if you're a salesperson that had an experience at a dealership. Tell me what it's like. But but yeah, like it's gonna be cool. I got a cool guest coming up next time, guys. They're really cool, and we'll see. But Kevin Covington signing off from the Kevin Covington Show.